graduate. So we're at about 7 of our 252 freshmen are at risk right now. I'm not going to call them off track because they're still a half a year, but we're measuring the data based on the mid-year grade report that we pulled from Skyward when the grades are finalized. So we're meeting the target on goal 1. We're well above that. We were trying to aim for 85% and then slowly, obviously increasing it in 5% intervals between the beginning. We're in a good place for this goal. Finishing out this TSI plan for this year, I'm confident we'll remain there. Second goal is related to attendance. Now this is an interesting one because one of the second tier data pieces that we were being identified for was our attendance, and it's because the data that I pulled for this is from Linkit, which quantifies our average daily attendance for our subgroups. So the two groups that we're tracking are our special education population and then our economically disadvantaged population, and Linkit quantifies the data in 3 different categories: on track, at risk, and then off track. So it's basically, there's the range. Right now, our average daily attendance for our special ed is 90.1%, and our average daily attendance for our economically disadvantaged is 91.4%, which is well above our goals. Skyward gives us different data, which is something that we've investigated ad nauseum, and will be corrected with our new SIS implementation, which is something that we've spent a lot of time with Power School to discuss related to quantifying absences. Because our data, which we appealed, I knew Dr. Farina appealed to the state last year to correct it. They were like, sorry, but we're not sorry. Like, your data, it is what it is, more or less. But our data, we're on target for the goal. And so the data that I'm going to quantify is the data that we pull from all our different reports, and that is being quantified in Linkit, and that's what we're going to report for our goal. So we're on target. We just have to be at 72%. We're well above that threshold. We should be able to maintain at a minimum in the 80s by the end of the year. I don't see that being an issue. Now with our seniors, they start to get a little flighty in May, so that could ping our numbers a little bit. But we're around 90% is what we're averaging at the end of quarter 2.
90%. That's for everybody.
Average daily attendance for those subgroups. So special education students are at ADA is 90.1. Meaning the average daily attendance, meaning 90.1% of the kids are coming in per day. And economically disadvantaged group, which would be our free and reduced lunch students, is at 91.4.
I got you. So you don't have the number up there for the total of everybody, right?
The total for everybody is higher.
Okay.
It is higher, but it is also in the 90s.
Yeah,
Okay.
and our school improvement TSI is only for the
Especially,
students
yes.
with disabilities.
Yes.
Yeah, we're only tracking that, we made a decision to track economically disadvantaged because it's a subgroup that also needs work and achievement, and we're also trying to monitor their attendance in addition to the specific goal has to be tracking special ed attendance.
And there's a lot of crossover.
Okay, yeah. The way that you're counting the attendance, the state is going to accept that, yes?
They're going to
Yeah.
accept whatever our data pool is coming out of our SIS,
Correct.
yeah.
So
Okay.
if I can explain the appeal,
Right.
we discovered that, and remember, this is a lagging indicator, so it's 2 years behind.
Yeah.
The way it was mapped in Skyward is that, let's say a student left at quarter of 2,
Yeah.
it was counting as a 0.5.
Okay.
Which is not a 0.5.
Right.
There are specific times. So
Yeah.
the way it was calculating on the back end of Skyward, so if a student left for an orthodontist appointment twice, it was 1 absence.
Yeah.
And that's, you can leave early and not be a half-day absent. So,
Yeah. And
yeah,
to be
they
clear,
didn't care. They didn't
the
care.
state isn't going to
It's a
say,
good
why
try.
did you
No.
send us Skyward data, but now you're sending us different data? They don't
No,
look
it
at-
all goes, it is not, it's not the platform data. So what happens is, our student information system, currently Skyward, next year will be Power School, is the source of truth. It gets exported and translated into a PIMS template, and that PIMS template is a state-issued template that gets uploaded to PDE. So that's why they said we didn't care. We used the correct PIMS template.
Yeah.
And it was the calculation end of.
The underneath stuff.
Correct.
So
Backgrounds.
you're having to like manually, or you're.
No, so Linkit pulls the data from Skyward, it gives me a percentage, and so we're using the data pool that comes into Linkit, and then we can sort our subgroups based on that.
I got you. Thank you.
And we fixed the Skyward error in
Oh.
the background.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so this should be correct, like in both systems, which is what we want to see ultimately, which is good. So we're again, we put the goal in. This is our second year monitoring it. Last year we were averaging pretty high last year, but again, it's a 2-year behind data. So the data that you're seeing in Future Ready Index is from essentially before I got here.
Correct, that's correct.
Which is interesting, but like that's also again, you're monitoring that second tier data because you go there after you go to achievement in order to classify us based on TSI. Third goal is related to our 12th grade students being on track to graduate. This is one of our goals that we monitored. We were trying to push. We were at 80%. We're pushing to 90% now. Right now we're sitting at 4 out of our 52 students are at risk to not pass all their scheduled courses this year. Now, there are some students that will go on to a 5th-year cohort or will go on to additional years of schooling beyond that are going to be post-senior years, but there's only 4 out of 52 that are at risk of not passing their courses right now, based on our senior at risk. So we're at a 92.3% success rate for that. Our goal is to be at 90 at the end of the year. It can fluctuate based on the marking period and where the kids are, and some of them are on the borderline with like D's right now. So we could have a dip, or we could have an increase, or we could have a dip. But the goal is to maintain a 90% by the end of the year. As you saw, we went from 83 after marking period 1 to 92, so we went up like 9. But that's because we also had the midterm exam grade and the quarter 2 grade to average into that first quarter grade. It's tough when you have standalone courses because again, you have one grade that you're basing your data on. There's also, this could dip a little bit because we have half credit electives and we have the first half of that course that's going to be graded in marking period 3. But we're going to monitor it as we always do at the end of the quarter. We'll run the report and then we'll monitor again at the end of the year and we'll see where we're at. But right now we're meeting that goal. And then our career benchmark goal, which is our Chapter 339 artifacts, we're currently measuring in Smart Futures. Our goal is to be at 90% for our junior class, which is our reporting class. We're at 85% right now, which is a pretty good number. 230 of 272 are fully compliant. We have about 42 more kids that we have to get, which is we're going to be begging, borrowing, and stealing with some of those students to get them to get the artifacts completed between now and May. But our goal is to maintain that. Last year we were at 99 point.
Yeah, but we had to appeal that as well. There was a clerical error at the state, which excluded all of our Western Center students. So when we got it, we calculated that we were at 99, and it came back at like 70. So Frank and I appealed it, and we prevailed.
We prevailed. So the correct data point went in, which was like 97.2 or something, I think, was our final number, which is well above the threshold that you need to maintain. But again, we'll be at the same boat. We spent a lot of time on this in March and April, just finishing up the last. Plus, some of the students are out of district placements. We're still responsible for getting the 339 artifacts from them. So we kind of, we'll be navigating this as we do every year to kind of get us up to that, 95% plus, which is the ultimate number. We had 90 as a goal, but the magic number is like 95. I don't have any doubt we'll get there. We did it the last 2 years. I'm confident we'll get there again. And it's 40 kids, which is not a really bad number at this point. We have classroom visit goal. We've been in 281 classroom visits so far this year.
Good job.
Yep. We're maintaining a 2 per marking period per teacher visit. We've rotated departments, so each of us is seeing every teacher this year at least twice, which has been really beneficial because they're seeing us twice and we're seeing them twice, so our data looks different because we have different perspectives and different backgrounds that we're bringing to the drop-ins. We're trying to maintain consistency, but we're also learning as a team that consistency in our conversations as well. And part of being able to rotate departments allows us to do that. It's also allowed us to identify some takeaways, which was shared with the staff at the mid-year. We did a takeaway on walkthroughs related to, we have some growth areas in that and we have some strengths, but we have some areas to kind of focus on that we shared with the staff for day-to-day, which they got this data, they got walkthrough data, we went over the PACE survey data and several other data points with our achievement and our benchmarks. We do that every mid-year, kind of to set the baseline for the end of the year. But we'll be on track to be at somewhere over 500 classroom visits between observations and evaluation and walkthroughs by the end of the year, and there's about 70 professional staff. So that gives you kind of the number. It's you know, it's a lot of visits, and it's the three of us, plus, you know, anytime an administrator from the central office is over and do a visit, like, they're also able to do that, so we're kind of all working together on the goal, but it's been really, we have some really strong data now. We'll have some really great data after 2 years to kind of look and see what our growth areas are. We have a lot of really great things going on. We definitely, as any building, we have areas that we can improve in instructionally, but that's the typical for everywhere.
Can I just make an editorial comment? One of the goals with new coaches at the secondary level was to analyze walkthrough data, coaching cycle data. I mean, we're really happy for our high school coach for having a baby, but that position was not refilled. So from now till the end of the year, that piece of the puzzle is not happening. So I just, you know, it's part of our comprehensive planning goal, but the high school currently does not have a coach. So when we present end-of-year data related to the comprehensive planning goals, you know, the high school has been missing a coach since pretty directly after
Since
the
January,
holiday.
yes, since
So,
end of January.
just so
Babies are
that.
babies.
They come like in 9 months. It's weird.
We're still reviewing the data and sharing it and navigating conversations with staff. We just won't have the coaching cycles available because our coach won't be in place, other than the conversations that we do with staff, which we've continued a few of them that were ongoing from before, just related to a couple specific contents that we're looking at. And some folks, you know, in the Keystone tested areas and things like that. But beyond that, any new cycles won't be started until the coach returns, which we'll see when they return. We'll see. When they come back, we'll pick up where we left off, we'll share the data, and we'll kind of, you know, figure out where we're going to move forward from there. And so in summary for TSI, you know, we've utilized data from Skyward, Linkit, and Smart Futures to monitor these goals. We're on target or well above all of our mid-year targets, and we're going to continue to collect data and monitor the goals for the second semester, and we'll complete the plan as outlined by the end of the year. That's where we're at. I mean, I'm happy to say that we've met them. I did not make this slide. I used.
I was gonna say you did.
No, I didn't. I used the Google Slides
I was
Beautify
gonna say,
feature.
Gemini was in full effect. Like,
I found that this week too. I was like, look at me.
I mean, how cool is that graphic? I was like, that looks really cool. So that was through the
you just always
AI.
have to check the spelling, because that is not always accurate.
I had to do that. I had to put a plug in here for AI because it came out really nice.
Can I just, sorry, so this plan is based on data from the 23-24 school year, some of it. You might be asking, well, what about last year's data? So as we all know, there was a budget impasse. The budget did not get approved until December. When I inquired with the state, because typically they like to drop those letters, you know, right before the holiday winter break in December, we were told that assistant superintendents, when we inquired, were told that it wasn't a priority at the state because they weren't sure if they were going to have the manpower to do the work of the cut scores. And so to date, we have not heard whether we were placed in TSI, again, based on that data. Our assessment, having a clear understanding of the calculations now, we don't anticipate that, but here we sit
Waiting.
you know, at the end of February, and I can't say it is out of the realm of possibilities for PDE to send an email in March. And if you remember, the plan you have to work with kids, you have to work with teachers, you have to do all of this. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. But if we meet the goals in the plan as written, then it is complete for the high school.
So then we would be off.
Correct, unless otherwise
Unless
notified.
they change the rules.
Unless they change their mind. And what I've said to the staff, and I'll say, is that our, you know, proficiency went up last year in both content areas, but that doesn't mean that it won't go down, or we could have a bubble group of students that could be lower in a content area, and at any given time, we could get re-identified. So the goal is that just because you come off of it doesn't mean that you want to back off or that you want to stop the forward progress, because you could have a subgroup that underperforms at any given time in any given testing window. And so the goal is, you know, even if we don't have a TSI plan, we're gonna start, like, even if we don't have to do a plan and complete it and submit it to the state, these goals are gonna continue to be monitored as we've monitored them the last 2 years, to make sure that we are collecting data and we're continuing to check on it and maintain, performance, expectations. Because these, I think, have kind of, they're beneficial for us to monitor regardless of whether or not we're on TSI or not. So that's just something I'll share.
Makes sense.
And I guess we'll do an end of the year report at some point and go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, sealed by
Are we good to
literacy.
go on?
Yes, thank you. Any comments from the board, questions?
Keep up the good work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Try it.
Let's move on.
I'll give a little background before I share it with, let Frank take over. Last year, Sarah Rothermel and I were at the MCIC, where our assistant superintendents and curriculum folks were talking about a group to focus on ensuring that all districts in Montgomery County had a seal of biliteracy. Sarah presented in May of last year the proposed plan for adopting the seal of biliteracy in the district. With Sarah's departure and Alyssa's arrival, she picked that up and has been working with Frank, and a team of us have been participating in some of her meetings to make sure our kids have access to this on their diploma. So I'll let you go from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool designation, and just a quick background to kind of piggyback off of what Andrea said. It is a student who is literate in multiple languages, whether English is their first language or second language. So if their first language is Spanish and their second language is English, and they test in both languages, essentially they would earn this designation. So, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. So, it's given by a school or state in recognition of students who have studied and attained proficiency in 2 or more languages by graduation. Our hope is that it's going to encourage students to study and attain that proficiency in English and another world language to promote civic and global engagement. It also demonstrates that biliteracy and bilingualism are academically challenging endeavors. So by earning the PA seal of biliteracy, students demonstrate readiness to engage in the global community. So that's kind of in a nutshell, the summary of what it is. The purpose is to recognize the value of world language and dual language programs, affirm the value of cultural and linguistic diversity in our schools and communities, encourage family and community support for the development of home languages other than English, as well as the study of additional world languages and cultures. Encourage all students to acquire proficiency in English and another world language, to certify intermediate high proficiency in English and another world language. Another way of rephrasing that. Provide employers with a method of identifying candidates with biliteracy skills, and provide universities with a method to recognize biliterate students, and also promote civic and global engagement. All Upper Perk students are eligible to apply for this. It's open to any student in the district with intermediate high proficiency in English and another language with approved assessments and evidence. Basically, they meet proficiency, and there's a few ways that you can earn that. They have to complete all the requirements to earn a high school diploma. They have to earn an average of final grades equaling a B, and 80% or higher in all English language arts courses, taken in grades 9 through 12, and meet any one of the English proficiency criteria options below. Earn an average of final grades equaling B, 80%, in target languages grade 8 to 12. And meet any one of the world language proficiency options, criteria options listed below. So they have to meet a proficiency level in English and a proficiency level in that language. Option 1 is they can score for English proficiency would be scoring proficient or advanced on the ELA assessments, Keystone Literature, or PASA. English learners have met all criteria for reclassification by October 1st of their graduating year. That would be option 2. Option 3 is achieving the following scores on one of the English, a 3 or higher on the AP test in literature and comp, a 4 or higher on the International Baccalaureate and IB test, or present a portfolio that meets the criteria for listening, speaking, reading, and writing at the intermediate or high English proficiency level. That's for English.
Can I stop you?
Yep.
Option 2, I'm not sure what that means for reclassification. What does that actually mean?
They have to take a WIDA test every year, Melanie, and that's their demonstration of proficiency. And so you can get exited or reclassified depending on the score. We're just finishing those tests.
Okay, thank you.
For our English, for our ELS, our English language learners, yeah.
Okay.
So that's for English, and then there's 4 options for the world language proficiency option. You have providing transcripts from a school in a country outside the U.S. or Puerto Rico showing at least 3 years of instruction in the student's home language in grades 8 or beyond, and indicating an average final grade of equaling or equivalent of an 80% or higher. Second option is scoring equivalency of intermediate, higher on one of the modern language assessments on the list approved. World language assessments. Option 3 is scoring the of an intermediate, higher on a community-based world language assessment norm to the ACTFL proficiency levels. And the last option is a portfolio that meets the criteria for listening, speaking, reading, and writing at that intermediate high level. So this is kind of a snapshot. I believe it's on the website and active now.
Yep.
There's an application for students to apply to obtain this. And currently, I believe we had 10. So what we did was we met with a group of students that were potentially we could potentially qualify for a PA seal, and there's approximately 8 to 10 students who are going to be attempting to attain this year. The decision, and I know Alyssa's not here, but the decision is to have them take a test on that proficiency in the target language. So they would take, there's an assessment that we're going to set up a time for them to take it. They're going to take that assessment. If they obtain a proper score, then, essentially they'll meet the criteria and they'll be classified as biliterate and they'll earn the seal for this year. So we're piloting with a group of about 8 to 10 students this year.
Excellent.
So we're pretty excited. There's other districts in the state there's a lot of other districts that have brought it in. It's pretty cool. It's an actual, we're going to recognize them at graduation. There's like medals and things that you can do like to kind of, recognize their achievement. I believe it goes actually on the diploma. I haven't seen one yet, but that's what we're hearing is that there'll be an actual stamp on the diploma that'll say that they've earned the seal, which is pretty cool. So then employers in the military and other places that look at your diploma will see that. Colleges will see it. So that's, our goal is to get, have a group here that we have them take the assessment and hopefully get them qualified and get it out there for this year, which is pretty cool.
Is it like any and all languages?
Any language. So if you let's say you speak Russian at home, but we don't teach it, but you speak Russian at home and you're fluent, they can test in Russian, and they can earn the biliteracy seal if they pass the assessment.
That's cool. Well, it's really cool. I speak a little bit of Pennsylvania Dutch.
I don't know if that one's on the
Dying
test.
language.
Let's see if that's on the test or not.
Complete the application.
Yeah. And then send your diploma in. Is it on a slab of stone or?
Hey!
Now,
We probably have it in the basement of the 400s.
Alyssa, I think, has the applications, so
I was going for flyers.
I don't know. Alyssa has the applications. I know we have a whole host of different languages. It's not just all one language. I think it's like 4 or 5 different languages that kids are gonna qualify under. I don't remember exactly which languages because I haven't seen the total applicants, but I know when we initially met with the students, there was about 5 different languages that students were going to be potentially trying to test in, which is pretty cool too. So we only teach 3 languages, so it's cool that we're having students who already are speaking it that are going to try to qualify for the seal.
I know you'll do this, but track that, because I want to know, a couple of years out, how many languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited to see this year how many we get through it, and then we can kind of get a baseline on that. I know we have, I know at least one student in Russian, we have Spanish, we have French, we have German, because we teach those. I think we have those 4, and then there's at least 1 or 2 more languages. I just can't remember which ones off the top of my head.
Are we still teaching French and German?
Mhm.
Is there any interest for Latin?
No.
No.
My
See
daughter,
how quickly I gave you that now?
I made my daughter
Is the
take Latin.
assessment
She didn't want to
given
take
by
Latin.
school?
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
facilitate it.
Okay.
It's there's a couple different ones. There's Apple. I'm forgetting the names of them. There's the Apple. We settled on a different one, but it's a pretty straightforward. It's a reading, writing, speaking, listening test in the language, and so we're going to facilitate that for them. We're going to set aside time. We'll reserve a space. We'll have them do it during the day. We'll get them out of class to do it, and we'll make sure that they have the time to actually take the test and qualify.
This is really cool.
That is
How about
really cool.
Chinese, do you ever think about Chinese? Have we ever invested?
The answer is yes. I mean, we've talked about it. Kids have requested to take Mandarin. It's a teacher
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
What, we don't have 20 teachers that speak
Yeah.
Mandarin? What the heck?
No, we don't.
Okay, just checking. Sorry. Soon. There you go.
Hey, never mind.
I will say I'm going to give a shout out to Ruth Padilla.
Yeah.
She, when we went to DBCEE, and we worked with the students at Upper Marion High School, this was a topic of discussion, and she is a ferocious, obvious advocate for it, so, and obviously a candidate.
Yeah.
And so she is pleased.
She's
that
been-
we've, you know, it was one of those, well, if we ask for it, are you ever going to do it kind of things? So, you know, she has been a very strong student advocate of the program and holds us accountable for our actions in lots of ways.
Yeah, I received no less than 4 emails recommending certain students by Ruth to approach for this, and we kind of met with all of them, so it's been great. She's been really instrumental, I think, in kind of spreading the word on it, so it was really awesome
That's cool.
for that.
Very cool.
That sounds great. Any other questions from the board? Okay, we can move on to Mrs. Best.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See you, Frank.
See you guys.
I want to talk about, I apologize for my voice ahead of time, hopefully it'll last through the whole presentation. We've spent over a year, it started before I came back, looking at a new curriculum resource for English language arts grades K to 5. The group that has been instrumental, this is a whole curriculum review team. You can see kindergarten teachers through 5th grade, where you see 2 names, one was from Marlborough, one was from Hartford. Many of them are in the audience today. Also, we have 4 or 5 in the audience, you can see. Though I'd like to say the ones with asterisks are very special, they're all very special. But the asterisks indicate that they went on the school visits to go see Pleasant Valley and to go see Culbertson Elementary at Marple Newtown, so we could see the products in action. You can see Allie also went. Dr. Woloff spent a whole day with us in here looking at different products. I appreciated her expertise in that area. So this is the team, a reading specialist. We have some here, we have coaches here. Most everybody has been involved in some way, shape, or form, and a lot of them have done a lot of extra work. So they're here today to hope see it through, and where my voice might fail, they might be able to chime in. So the process that we went through was really, there was a created list when I got here. There was some research done on every product. We chose 6 that we wanted to see, which means people came in and did their dog and pony show. And we had the whole team there for that. That happened in October and November. We did use an objective rubric, so when you get this slide, you can take a look at it. I can also click on it from here. We narrowed that list. We set up some site visits. While we continued to investigate, these girls were tenacious. They wanted to make sure they were digging into the resources because they also give us access to the digital platform so that we can take a look and see what we find in there. I also have behind you our selection from today, but there is a ton of resources in my office that we looked through that came to us as we were reviewing all the products. We debriefed in January as a reading specialist group. We brought the full team back in and we conducted a survey. The survey questions included what's your first choice, what's your second choice, what's your third choice, and why for each one of those. And like, is your third choice like just because I made you pick one, or is it like a distant third? And then the question that was really important to me to ask was, how comfortable are you making this decision right now? If you were given a couple more weeks, would you take them? And overwhelmingly, people said, I'm ready to make the decision right now. It was important to me that we did our due diligence and everybody felt comfortable having dug in. I worked with vendors to get quotes, knocked my socks off. They can get very expensive. Today we're presenting APS. Tomorrow it will go on for public display. We know, we do that for 30 days. There's a Google survey that my assistant will have access to for anybody who comes in and looks at that. And there will be a sign-up sheet for them to come in because it will include not only looking at their resources physically, but there's digital access as well for people that want to dig in and take a look at that. If we're able to get your approval tonight to put it on the board agenda for March 26th, it's a little bit down the line because we have the Innovation Fair and also we need 30 days of full public review. So March 26th would be the date that it would get on the board agenda, and then we would get to work. And I say that because we say all the time that it's a resource, not a curriculum. And then we have to pull out of there our pacing and our standards crosswalk and what assessments we're going to do and how we're going to look at our assessment portfolio differently now that we have a new resource. Anybody add anything to that process? A lot of hours. We looked at it from the lens of what do we need? What has our data been telling us over the past number of years that we need? And so there's 4 different areas of standards in ELA. One is foundational skills, that's 1.1, and 1.4 is writing. And so I put these 2 on one slide because they kind of bookend the other 2 in the middle. So our foundational skills are very solid. We've been using Heggerty and Foundations, and we've seen a lot of growth in our students. They're very solid. There is a very good foundational program with magnetic literacy, so we will be testing that with our early adopters if we're able to move forward with this, because it is good, and we need to have the opportunity to say this next to Heggerty and Foundations. What will that tell us? The other thing we should know about this product is, I'm going to say several times tonight, it's new, but the foundational skills part of it is not new. It's been around for a number of years. It got wrapped into this, and so we do have research on that particular piece of the product. We talked about what do we need and what do we need. So we talked about the fact that we need greater growth in the areas of writing in 1.4, not only our mode writing, which is narrative, informational, and argumentative, but also in response to literature and what we call text-dependent analysis, which begins on the PSSA in 3rd grade. So we would benefit from an integrated program with grammar and conventions built in, aligned with our reading curriculum, with very structured, explicit instruction in that writing process. Our teachers have done a really nice job with administrators and specialists over the years building out a writing program and making it solid for our kids. But something that's integrated is really what we need. Someone in the audience often says to me, Kim, I'm tired of sewing, I'm tired of quilting all the pieces together. So the program that we've chosen did that for us. So that's something we're very excited about. In the areas, the other 2 bookended standards are 1.2 and 1.3. 1.2 is informational and 1.3 is literature. So our students are exposed to both of those. The standards are basically the same across both of those, a little bit different based on the type of literature. We know we need help with key ideas and vocabulary. That comes up every year as a definitive need in our data to grow. So we need a program with rigorous text, a variety of robust text to build that background knowledge, assessment and instructional reading comprehension, and the depth of assessment that can help us figure out if they're struggling, where they're struggling, so that we can create a plan that works for them. One of the things that all of the programs brought, and I think it's something in the industry that they've been working on, is the building of background knowledge. We have kids who come in without a lot of knowledge of certain things, and so the programs now are designed to give them knowledge about birds or nature or whatever it might be, through video, through poems, through all sorts of literature and informational text. So we were happy to see that in all the programs. We are very, very aware that there is no perfect program. So when we debriefed on this in February, we said, where do we want to spend our time next year? There's going to be time that needs to be spent, and we know that we need to do a standards crossover. There's lots of things that we need to do, but where do we really want to spend our time? So thinking about the strengths and weaknesses of the programs, and the experiences of our teachers. There's been a lot of professional development, K-5, in structured literacy in a lot of the areas that are now being mandated by the state of Pennsylvania. So we looked at the options with that in mind. Where do we want to spend our time next year? We have to do professional development. That's a no-brainer. What's nice, though, is that the platform that magnetic literacy is on is the same as our math program.
Right.
They're both from Curriculum Associates, iWriting. So that's really nice that we don't have to introduce professional development on a brand new platform. And when I asked Keisha, who's our sales rep, a lot of the reports are the same. To the degree math and ELA are the same, you can get the same type of reports to that. So we know we're going to have to do standards alignment. We're going to have to get to know all aspects of the program to map out our usage and to really understand that technology platform for students and teachers. We have a good leg up in that area. The work we can elect to do is if we were going to look at something with weak foundational skills, or if we were going to look at something without an integrated program. This is just something that I wanted you to see. We shaped our conversation around when we were together in this room a few weeks ago talking about where is it that we want to go. And overwhelmingly, thinking about this, I think it made a lot of folks kind of land here in magnetic literacy. And I'll say why I think why, and then you guys can certainly add from there. we've been looking for an integrated program, something where if I'm teaching a kindergartner or a first grader foundational skills, and then we're moving on to literature, and then we're moving on to nonfiction text, and then we're doing writing, if all that's on the same topic, if all that's related to each other, and so it doesn't feel like so segmented, it really helps the students be immersed in that learning. It builds that background knowledge. And a lot of their work is based on brain-based research where they want kids to be thinking about reading. And so magnetic literacy blends all of those things beautifully together, so that if we needed to do some work next year, it might be in the area of small group instruction to try to help students in areas where they might need. But there's a robust teacher toolbox that has just about everything they might need in that area. It's just a matter of finding it and applying it. Would you guys add anything, or do you have questions while I'm on this?
Did you guys have a question? I mean, we can talk all day about why we fell in love with this and why we really think this is
No, what do you like about it?
So, I mean, when we were first going into this, first of all, we were incredibly picky about programs that we looked at. So when we say we looked at 6 programs, like we just went for something that was going to be completely comprehensive. And when we were talking to classroom teachers, there was the big thing was we know that we can find great resources. What we want to do is be able to focus on students, right? So let's find something that has the most comprehensive, pieces across the board, and ease that teacher burden. So, where there might have been 1 or 2 programs that really looked similar to this, the fact that it is going to be related to what we're doing on the math end, it takes away the burden of learning a new platform and learning different reports. Now everything's going to be seamless, and that really should help us just focus on students and what's coming out of those reports. I'm sure there's a million other things to say, but.
I spent a lot of time digging into the 3rd grade. I mean, every time I saw Mr. Freeze, I was saying more things about it. And one of the things that I love is that we're staying on a topic for a while. Like, we'd read a story about something one day and a different story the next day. And like, if kids were thinking of questions or pondering, we're already moved on. And so it's nice that we're digging deeper into things. So Tastemakers was the unit that we were able to have access to for 3rd grade. Almost most days there's vocabulary, there's word interaction, there is, we talked about figurative language and hyperboles, metaphors and similes. They've talked about prefixes and suffixes. It is just so beautifully integrated that you can really dig deep. But the level is definitely raised with the quality and what we're expecting from the students. With the writing, there's, they do cause and effect, but it was set up in such a way that it guides the students. So we would have kind of like a graphic organizer, and parts of it would fill out, and parts of it the students would have to fill out. And then they could take that graphic organizer and it would ask them to write a paragraph. But everything they needed, they've already either highlighted through the thing or put in to the graphic organizers. Like, it has been, I guess, so meticulously planned and integrated. I mean, there was things that I was going through looking, going, oh wait, we're doing, but we, oh, they asked us to highlight here, and then we need to put in here, oh, because they wanted us to do this, and now we did it. And it was so intentional. And then the other thing is writing's been a big struggle. We would be doing something, whatever we're doing in shared reading, and then it's like, okay, we're writing persuasive writing that has no connection to what we're doing in everything else. In this unit, they have you doing a origin story of food, because it's Tastemakers, it's all about food. And at the end of each module, there is a writer's craft day. And it would have you doing something in writing. And then at the end of the entire unit, there's, I think, 4 or 5 days that's all writing. And basically, the kids will then write their origin story. But those writer's craft days set them up that they've already practiced the skills, so they know what we're talking about. So it's not something like just go do this. They've already had pulled some information and put some notes together, so that at the end, when it's their turn, they've already had those experiences. And then even on the days of the writer's craft, it is still just, again, so intentional. Day 1, we're going to do this. Day 2, we're going to do that. And it aligns with what they've been doing the whole time. So it just makes sense. We're not going from topic to topic, but the depth of what it's covering, and it's not isolated. We're not just talking main idea, main idea, cause, effect. I mean, it's hitting everything in circulation in a way that it makes sense with the stories that we're reading. And the stories that we're reading, high interest. So as a teacher, I can't tell you.
I was gonna say,
I haven't-
yeah, it's hard to tell.
I
how you
can't
feel
tell you
about
less
it.
than I've been this excited about something I'm gonna teach.
Right. And it's easier when it's cohesive and well integrated, because it saves all of you, like you said, the work of piecemealing things together.
Yes.
Are any of you a fifth grade teacher?
We're reading specialists.
Reading?
There's one fourth grade, and then there are 4 or 5 coaches out there too.
So I was thinking about the connection to 6, 7, 8. Like, how much reconstruction do you feel like you're going to need to do to marry the lower levels with what we already have going on with 6, 7, 8? Like, especially with the TDAs, like, is this going to be streamlined? And this is sort of connected. I know you guys do benchmarks for Mr. Freeze. I probably have both buildings actually. Do these come with benchmarks, or are you going to continue? I think you were using a separate entity to conduct those benchmarks.
I'll speak to that part if you guys want to talk
Okay.
about the readiness to middle school.
So we've been doing text event analysis for many years, which has been one of our challenges with benchmark literacy, is that it wasn't built in. So we found ourselves having a hard time getting a text that was complex enough to get the thinking that was complex enough to meet the standard. So that's one of the many areas that we've been backfilling and sewing together, if you will. So I really feel like these texts lend themselves very well to, having that complexity, the high interest, the skills, the way they cycle, the essential question that we constantly refer back to throughout the modules. They're getting students to that level. So I really think it will prepare students very well for the expectations as we transition from 5th grade into 6th grade.
It almost sounds like rigor.
No, it's definitely more rigorous when they were talking about upping the level.
That is our
And
favorite
the other,
word.
the other part of it, yeah, it's multi-genre. So in a given unit, students will be looking at poetry and short story and maybe folklore and fiction and nonfiction, and that is really building those skills and being able to compare texts, the integration of ideas across texts. That's what they really need for the middle school, and this is built in that way.
And I
Go
think
ahead, Jess.
the way that it's integrated, we were teaching, 5 separate lessons in the course of our block to cover grammar, word skill, vocabulary, writing, reading. And so the way that it's integrated, I think we will save so much time not having to isolate those skills that it will really lend itself well to being able to get to that deeper level thinking, because we're not having to stop. Now it's time for verbs. Now it's time for, I think it'll really help us a lot in that way.
And I think whenever we do that, students segment it in their own minds, right? Like it's all different things. And so
Yeah.
the integration of those skills as being a package of literacy, I think is really important. In terms, go ahead.
Is there anything that you don't like about it or you're concerned about it? And please.
Yeah,
speak-
that was my
speak-
question
speak
too.
freely.
Like you said, there's nothing that's
units.
perfect, so
Yeah.
what about
Yeah.
this is the thing you were kind of like, well, we can give on this, but the rest of it looks good?
I think most of our hesitation was just the fact that it's not, well, it's in publication, right? It's not finished yet. We
It's
joked,
new.
we're like, is ready, ready?
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of our line.
It's finished, but it's not released to us. So
Right.
there's this piece where we're trusting that the first 3 units of these grade levels look as fabulous as the last 3, right? But what we've seen from Curriculum Associates, like that was not a worry
Right.
for me personally.
Yeah.
There was some concern from some folks who had a different program as their kind of main about the outside core texts. So this program from K to 2 has sets of texts for students outside of like the shared reading lessons. So when you move into small group, there's text that you can use in K to 2. And in 3, that changes. The texts are all within the student workbook. Now this is because they're very complex, longer texts, and it's expected that when you're working in small groups, you're scaffolding up to that grade level. and students are interacting more with those same tests. So that, I mean, I think that is probably the one area that needs to be seen, like, do we need to supplement at some point? That we have big book rooms in our schools where we can supplement, but it would be outside of the program if we need that.
And this comes with single-use text, like a student gets this, they write in it, and
Yeah.
that's theirs
Yeah.
to.
And I'll get into that on
Okay.
another page, but in terms of benchmarks, one of the reasons we like this platform is because it has what they call a diagnostic. So at the beginning of the year, middle of year, and end of year, we give the iReady, it's called the diagnostic, next year it'll be called Inform, iReady Inform, and it helps us see where students are broadly in the idea of grade level standards for beginning, middle, and end of year. So we can see growth, and there are a plethora of more reports you can run at mid-year because you have that comparative beginning, middle of year data. So we use diagnostics to figure out exactly where a student might be struggling. In terms of benchmarks, we still are set to take MAP, which is a benchmark, which is different than a diagnostic. That benchmark is like it takes your temperature, and the diagnostic is like they look down your throat, like we're really getting into it. So we don't know, Trina, in the end, what that may look like later on. So in other words, we may say we don't necessarily need that. I would have a hard time giving up a benchmark because it's very different. And I like to have an outside measure of what are the nationally normed tests show us how our kids are doing on standard versus our curriculum-based assessment, even though the diagnostic for iReady is a little bit bigger than just a curriculum-based assessment.
I just hate to over-test them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And right now, we do have diagnostics and benchmarks, and it's certainly part of what we're looking at in terms of, is there anything we can get rid of here? Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
We, kind of to add to that, because we were isolating different things, we would have one test for our foundations, we'd have one test for shared reading, something else for writing. Now it's all integrated, so it's like combined, so I feel like we are gonna have a little bit less testing and more time to really get into the curriculum with the kids, which was something that we were concerned about and is something that I'm looking forward to.
So Jess mentioned, what is it called, Tastemakers.
Tastemakers.
So this is the student workbook for just this particular unit in third grade. And the resources are here if you guys want to look through them. You won't hurt my feelings if you get up and pull. The bound one is the teacher guide. The one that looks like what Peg has is the student workbook. And you'll see different texts in there. The other thing I wanted to say is that each one of these programs that we had left, and the three that we were looking at the end are listed on the screen right now. Interreading, which was a Houghton Mifflin product, Magnetic Literacy, which was our choice, and then My View from Savvis. I don't know if I said that right. They all have thematic units that lend themselves well to social studies and even science integration. So my hope is that we won't be doing a big social studies adoption. We can use these resources to teach social studies because at least 3 of the units per grade level are social studies focused, and because they know generally, like, okay, it's communities, and then 4 or 5 it's like government, so they're pretty aligned with the Pennsylvania standards. So we're hoping to save some money in that area too.
Yeah.
Not that we've spent money on social studies in 100 years, but the fact that we might have to.
Well,
would be
there's no
coming up.
test
Yeah.
for it, so
Yeah,
it doesn't
exactly.
matter.
As a social studies teacher, it still hurts my feelings.
Glad you didn't invite them to hear that.
Magnetic Literacy is our choice. I'll send you this slide deck. You can link to Magnetic Literacy. We are excited to dig into this and get to know it really well, although these girls are in love with it, so they've really dug into the units that we have access to. We will create our curriculum documents with pacing, do that standard alignment, and how that would translate to a standard pace report card. We have to look at all the assessments that are in there, to your very point. We don't want to give everything, what are the things that will really give us the information we need to intervene with kids, enrich students, and help them to stay on track. And then we'll plan for our early adopters. So just as we did with math this year, next year we're planning to have 2 grade level teachers, one at Hereford and one at Marlboro per grade level. And then at the 4-5, we have 2 teachers this year because they really need somebody to collaborate with. We have all those names. Well, they're getting confirmed tomorrow or Friday. And those folks will have access to everything. They'll have all the resources, and they'll be early adopting. We don't really call it a pilot because it's not like we might not adopt it. We're hoping to go in that direction. So that will happen next year. All of our students will be taking the diagnostic test, and all of the teachers will have access to the tool. So That's wonderful. The idea of student testing and student pathways is really something that we've seen growth with our students, and we'll be bringing that to everybody, not just the early adopters. I know, Trina, you had asked me a little bit about the company. I keep hitting on there. I have a link there if you want to read more about Curriculum Associates. These are their talking points. I added them because that's what they share about the company. But they do talk about the efficacy studies and the case studies that they've done that really support their data. I asked them if they'd ever had any controversy or any challenges or questions, and this is too new, obviously, to have that, but they said as a company they've not had that she could remember or that she could recall, and I even did my own search to try to find that there hasn't been
The
any
whole
controversy.
company is new?
No.
Oh.
No. They've been around a while.
Okay.
No,
Just start from scratch here?
1969. No, 1969. Just this program, and I hate to call it new, it's newly integrated. Like, there are some brand new pieces in it, but they're just pulling together a lot of separate pieces that they did. Two things I wanted to talk about are what is the state mandating? The first one is Act 135, which is structured literacy, and I told you a couple months ago or last month that that's not just related to curriculum, but I'm focusing just on curriculum as we talk about this. There are 3 things that a platform or a resource must have. It must align with PA standards in the science of reading. This does. It must include a logical scope and sequence for explicit, systematic, and cumulative instruction. This does. And it incorporates phonemic awareness. These are the foundational skills. The alphabetic principle, decoding, encoding, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, and build content knowledge. If any resource fits that, we can check it off and it fits. There is a reading league that the state of Pennsylvania put together, and they do have a list of approved resources. This is not on it, but it doesn't have to be approved. So I'm not saying that exactly well. So what they say in the legislation is that they have a list of products that they evaluated. Ed Reports evaluates it. Colorado, Ohio, thank you. So Ohio, Colorado, and Ed Reports do this evaluation. And they give them green dots, whether they've met or not met. This was not ready in July, so it couldn't be submitted to be evaluated. But what they'll do is they'll put it against that particular rubric, and we know it fits that. So there should be, in the legislation, it also says school districts have discretion to choose what they want, as long as we follow these guidelines. So it has been submitted to Ed Reports. They're expecting all greens, and we should have that information pretty soon. So if Ed Reports gives it all greens, it makes it to the list in PA, which they update every 6 months or so.
Okay. And the building content knowledge up there, is that the same way of saying building background knowledge?
Mhm.
Okay, it is, okay. And in this, they don't I'm gonna guess they don't like spoon feed it, it's like guiding the student, it's not just, here's your background knowledge.
Correct.
Okay.
That's actually how the rigor is.
Okay.
It is
Yeah, all
definitely not
different texts are based on all different topics, building toward this content, that when you get to the assessment, they now have the background knowledge they need to understand the text.
It is, I mean, I when they presented this, I literally giggled in the back of the room, like, it is
She did.
so, I did, yeah, like, I'm not joking, I giggled. They opened the unit with a preview of what you're doing at the end of the unit. So the student has a purpose the moment they walk in. You're entering this unit so that at the end, you can tell the story of how a food, the origin comes about. I'm using a bad example because I don't know the unit in and out, and then you literally, every text that you read, you're collecting information along the way so that you can do this thing at the end. So,
It's
yeah,
kinda like-
it's wildly purposeful.
It's
Like,
kind of
really
like,
acknowledge
it's kind of
purpose.
like backward design, you
It
know?
is.
like,
It is.
Begin with the
It
end
is.
in mind, yeah.
Yes.
Clear goals and objectives.
And we keep going back to that.
Yeah.
Through it. It's not just at the beginning and at the end.
It's
There's
reinforced.
the touch points throughout.
And it's exciting to think about the kids and how they're going to have aha moments, but wait, that's why they're going to connect those dots. And they're going to put those pieces together because it's naturally designed in that way that they're going to, without prompting, just start to make those connections.
That'll be brain
And to see the
stimulating.
synapses like firing.
So because we want to be,
I was just gonna say, you need to come back next year and tell us how good it is.
Yeah.
We will, the early adopters will definitely.
And are you ready to teach cursive again? Are we-
Yeah, I saw it. So I wanted you to see everything. There is a current list on that slide. So when you get this, if you click on that, you can see exactly which ones have been already evaluated and you have that up there. So now we have to talk money. I've been getting quotes all, I know. I've been getting quotes all day. Because the girl at Magnetic really wants us to get the very best deal. And because we're using it for math and ELA, she was able to bundle our assessment and student pathway platform. So I need you to think about two different things. So on this hand, we're going to talk about the diagnostic, which puts them on a student pathway. There's a cost for that. And then on the other hand, there's a cost for student materials, teacher materials, both hard copy and digital. Okay, so there's two different things we're looking at here. So that top bullet, they're hardly charging us anything for next year. I mean, I know that seems like a little bit of money. I wouldn't personally want to pay it, but it fits within what we have budgeted for the school district. For all the teachers, for all the materials that we're getting, there's no charge for the digital platform. They're just charging us for the print materials, and there's no obligation. So even though they're giving that to us, we decide it's not right, we don't have to go with it. So we were excited to hear that. Over the next 5 years, if we bundle math and ELA together, it would be about $56,000 a year for 5 years, which does fit in what we traditionally budget for, certainly one or the other, but for both, that's pretty good. Now, what they like to do, though, is they like to sell us a 5 or a 6 year bundle, which works in our favor because then we are not susceptible to the price increases over those 5 or 6 years. So we would have to be making 2 rather large payments, but not until 27, 28. So I want to work with Drew to say, hold some money over, right? Like, because we don't want our budget to look like it went down to, $36,000, and then next year I'm going to go back up to 250. So we want to think about how we can hold that placeholder and keep that budget line consistent instead of jumping up to 200,000 one year and then back down. So magnetic literacy, student and teacher materials, digital and hard copy. So the top quote there under the second bullet is math and ELA, that student pathway. And then where it says magnetic literacy, getting it. That's digital and hard copy materials. That's about $40,000 a year. So it'd be 2 payments broken up, that $200,000. Again, not starting until 27, 28, unless we want to get it.
The 40,000 is if you don't bundle?
So it's $40,000 a year for 5 years.
Uh-huh.
So then, I just broke it down for you so you could see that annual cost. We would be paying around that $200,000 in 2 different payments. So it probably would be paid out in 27, 28, $100,000, and then in 28, 29. Did I say that right?
Uh-huh.
The other, okay.
I'm trouble with that too.
Okay. And then we do have potential for additional cost savings. We already are saving $22,000 next year by not ordering Lexia, which is one of the programs we had students working on for ELA to build some of those skills. We won't need that if we have the pathways with Ready. If we go with their foundational program, we wouldn't be needing to buy the foundations fund of every year, which is right around almost $6,000. And then we talked about the benchmarks. Would there be a savings in that area or some of the assessments that we're currently doing?
So, yeah, so there's some
Yeah.
big less.
How much is Lexia, did you say?
$22,000.
Okay, thank you.
And that was just K-3.
Yeah. We were using Freckle at 4 or 5, so we wouldn't pay for Freckle, which was about $7,000.
We're just talking about the print materials for foundations.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't know
Yeah.
about every year.
Print materials?
Yeah, for foundations, the foundational skills, if we wouldn't need those workbooks annually, yeah, that's true.
And these Lexia is 22,000 a year, Freckle is 7,000 a year?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I wanted you to know that last week, the governor signed into law a new regulation on handwriting again. They want to bring back cursive handwriting. So, I know, well, if you watch kids write.
You have to take the class, Paige.
No, I always did that.
Oh, really? You write in cursive? So fancy.
So
Oh
we
my
won't be able
goodness.
to, the kids will crack the code. So for grades K to 2, and this happens in our foundations unit, they're taught the lettering and handwriting, uppercase and lowercase, and then grades 2 to 6, they would start the foundations for cursive writing. So Magnetic has it included, we don't have to look anywhere and outsource that. It's totally integrated.
this already happened?
Yeah, they knew. They
were
were.
paying
So I
attention.
wanted to say thank you to the full team, even though the
Yeah,
full
thank
team is
you.
not here. There was a
Thank
lot
you.
of work, and for the school board to support the work and let us think outside the box and maybe go with something that isn't quite on the list yet, but we know will be on the list. So you can feel free to look at this starting tomorrow. It will be on public display. I don't know where, I'm thinking maybe my office. It's a nice quiet spot to go. This will be here as well as some information for digital access. Stacy will collect feedback and then we'll share it with you before we would go forward to put it on the board agenda.
And I really had fun at her for.
I was just gonna say the same thing, you know, you can come and see it.
Yeah, I want to go bowling again with the
Yeah.
kindergartners.
That sounds dangerous.
Oh, boy.
I'm just so happy to see the excitement and this is good.
So I appreciate the time you allowed us to talk about it too. It's a big deal and it's been a long time coming and I wanted to make sure the group who worked really hard had an opportunity to talk about it. So thank you for letting us go all the way through it. Yes,
We
Jess?
talked about students and we talked about teachers, but I think something I'm excited about is that our teachers will sit in a parent conference and be able to show parents reporting from the same platform. I know parents sometimes struggle to really understand what a report is showing them, so to be able to learn that starting in kindergarten and first grade and see those same reports all the way through fifth grade, I think will help our parents build that literacy for how their students are performing.
This looks like fun.
It's like fun. It is. Boy, we've come a long way since,
Yeah, we have.
Dick, Jane, and Sally.
I forget what they were called, the.
Becca books.
And
I
Spot.
had
Yes,
some Becca books.
Spot.
Spot.
See spot right? Yep.
Holy cow.
Any questions?
Don't have any.
No, just thank you. I think that your opinion is of the most important. You're the one who's doing it all day. You see how the children interact with it. So I know that you got a lot going on. So to spend extra time to review documents and to give your time to us we appreciate it.
And I don't remember who asked, it might have been you, Paige, like, what do the teachers think? And so that really allowed me to say to them, they want to know what you think, come.
Yeah.
And they did, so I appreciate whoever asked the question, I think it was you.
Thanks for staying late.
Yeah.
Are you going out to dinner now?
So with your permission, if things go through with the public comment and there's no controversy, would we be able to put this on the board agenda for the
Thanks, everyone.
26th of March?
Are we ready to make a motion to approve that? All right, can I get a motion to approve this to go on the March 26th agenda? And a second? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Looking
And
forward to it.
motion carries.
It was the cheapest option, thank you. Yeah, I told you, knock my socks off.
We didn't know that until afterwards.
Yes, I wouldn't tell them, I didn't want
That's
anybody,
great.
think anything. Believe me, the price. This was the cheapest.
That's so funny.
I know.
It seems pretty good.
Yeah, there were some, the people that were a little bit,
discount.
nervous about it, they're worried about the rigor and the fact that, I think it's there, I know it's there. I mean, How the Caged Bird Sings is one of the texts for, it's one of the poetry for.
I think that's great. But I think that, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, I was just reading an article the other day about how COVID, we sort of saw, I'm going to say this is not the exact word that I want to choose, but we sort of held excuses for children. We came at education with a different understanding, and I think that there may have been some slide back in what we believe that children can do if we challenge them. So maybe we don't start them at exactly the reading level that they're at. We have faith that they can overcome and that they can be challenged. And so that doesn't threaten me. I think that children are, they rise to the occasion.
They do.
And I said this before Paige and Trina got on the board about the rigor piece. I probably said it in a way that really ticked you off, but I just really believe in the whole rigor piece and really pushing kids. And it's kind of like athletics, you're training the brain, so
They show themselves that they can do it,
give kids credit because they'll
agreed.
do it.
I hear you, but the risk is if it's too high level, your teachers are gonna
Figure it
skip
out.
through it.
Yeah, you gotta-
You don't, like,
Right.
there's a balance there.
Yeah.
Yes, all about the
Yeah.
rigor, but if it's too much, if it's too cumbersome for them, It's gonna be rough, but that wasn't what I heard from them.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Yes.
Well, thank you for the time and your support
I'll
in
be
that.
a
We
coach
appreciate
yet,
it.
Peg.
But I think that there's unique ways to deal with that, with the way that we work in small groups, and you know what I mean? Like, I think that there's, you're a teacher, so you understand this better than anybody. I'm not doubting what you just said. I'm just saying that I think that it sounds like there are ways to get around those concerns.
And I have faith in our teachers because of the work they've done over the last number of years, that where we need to enrich, we will and we can.
Right.
And where we need to scaffold up so they can get to the rigor, they can do that. I have a lot of confidence. And there was a bunch of reading specialists who
Yeah.
were sitting there and coaches. who
Right, you
really
have
worked.
supports, you
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
so, yeah.
What is it, I want coach's name?
Beth Bianca, the one who said you could come back anytime. That's Beth.
She's sharp.
Yeah, she's very
I was
good.
impressed by her.
Yeah, she's excellent.
All right, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
We need compliance,
No, let me just do a quick update
Social
for Dr.
studies.
Walla.
Okay.
She just wanted to share with the committee in preparation for both March and April, give a little background. So she inherited the recommendation for 6th grade social studies to be rewritten. Upon her inquiry with Mr. Pierce, who is great, she learned that 6th grade was using National Geographic, while 7th and 8th grade were using HMH. And so in working with Mr. Pierce, they discovered that HMH was going to expire this June. And so she took it with Mr. Pierce and the whole team to pull them all together in order to address 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And she wanted to share that group has looked at and reviewed resources utilizing the criteria on the right, TCI, McGraw-Hill, SAVIS, and HMH. They are at the stage as a department right now that they are considering SAVIS and HMH. Their second presentation with SAVIS was February 13th, and HMH presentation is the 24th. And so she just wanted to give an update to let you know that when she comes back, part of that resource allocation, her timeline ultimately would be very similar in that she would come back to PPS in March with the hopes to lay out that resource for approval, in April, if we can make that happen. So.
Okay, and there's nothing for us to
Nothing.
approve? Okay.
No, she'll bring
Thank you.
whatever recommendation comes from that team in March.
Sounds good. Any questions? Okay. Moving on, compliance monitoring, and so Dr. Giblin, you're up for the last 2 items on the agenda for today.
Yeah, so I'll kind of go backwards here, but I'll just briefly share with you the school-based mentoring programs that I know for a couple of you, if you had not been on the board in the past. So we do at our middle school, we do at our high school, school-based mentoring programs. So it goes back about 5 years when we did start with Patan, and there was very strict specifics. It was grant funded. Life has gone on, the program ended, but we didn't stop it here. So we continue to do it at the middle school, we continue to do it at the high school. And I work with the assistant principal at both buildings, so Jen at the high school and Brian at the middle school. And then we have a small little core team to kind of review students. It's parent permission, and it's an individual teacher that will come, check in, meet with the students at both buildings. So I just wanted to kind of give you a quick update. I know I haven't given you an update on that in a while. So it's still going. We actually have a couple of individuals going through, and we still work with the same individual from the IU who provides like professional development in order to become a mentor here in the district. So that's kind of the school-based mentoring program. Any questions on that? And it is not for students with disabilities. It is for any student that the school kind of deems necessary. It would be supportive to have a mentor. Okay, and then I just have here very briefly, just wanted to kind of share with you. So if you recall, it was a year ago we had to submit in the summer. The district did very well. in the area of the compliance monitoring. There were 2 improvement plans. One was in the area of what we call least restrictive environment. It is considered indicator 5. What we were given the improvement plan was, and I had shared this previously, was for students placed out of district. And so we, the target for the state of Pennsylvania is that every district does not, in order to meet the target, be under 4.8% of your special education students placed out of district. We were not, we were at a low 5%. So that triggered then the improvement plan, which actually for both of these that I'll just briefly share and go through, I'm not going to go through all the details on it, but each are set up to be a 3-year plan. They were approved by the state when we submitted them, Andrea and myself, last July. And my hope was that this one in particular on least restrictive environment would be removed. However, based on the fact that it is up to 3 years, sometimes there may or may not be rhyme or reason as to how we can exit the plan sooner. I will try respectfully to push that again when we get our special education, what we call our report card, which comes every May. And just as you were talking about the high school and TSI, we are 2 years behind as well. So we're going to get information May of 2026 for the data and information from the 24-25 school year. So it's typically how it works. But these were just some of the goals that we had, and then I needed to submit and share with the state some of those areas. For the least restrictive environment, some of the areas that we do have here, and you'll see some are going to be implemented year 1, year 2, year 3 of the plan. Some of them might just be year 1. Some might just be year 2 or 3. I will tell you one of the, each year is one on the area of de-escalation, which also supports our students with least restrictive environment. If students are doing well, socially, emotionally, behaviorally, they're going to be out with typical students much more frequent. So one of the areas has to do with QBS, de-escalation, and then it also has to do with some work that Christine and Amy and I do with our special ed teachers in the area of least restrictive environment. We work with them, they do monthly meetings with them as well. I think the only other one I wanted to look here, the co-teaching is one that we continue to work on. Here was one of the aspects of the goal. And you can, in the very far right column, it's hard probably for you to see it, but this is the data that was submitted in January to the state for the work that's been done so far this school year. We do have one more co-teaching PD, which will be March 13th for our middle and high school teachers that are currently doing co-teaching. If you look at, that's year 1 and 2. We also have, the next one does talk a little bit about in year 2, to look at how is the co-teaching, sort of come back to it. Where are we with that? Are our teachers feeling the success? Are our students feeling the success? So some areas that we'll look at over the next year. And you can see one of these areas was to also look, which you're already, I think, pretty much aware of when we're looking in the area of behavior and BCBA and some needs within the district. And I think the only other one here I will mention, there's the de-escalation, parent engagement sessions, the mentoring program. And then I'll just leave it here and then I'll get out of this one. Andrea and I have had this one probably on the improvement plan that seems to come out with the districts, very similar to what we got out of district students, and the feasibility, potential benefits of establishing and just reviewing and looking into an alternative school setting within our own school district. So we'll leave that as that. I won't say anymore, but that is to be looked at, sort of reviewed in years 2 and 3. Any questions with that? Okay, Carol, stop. And then I'll just briefly, this one, and I'm not even going to go through, but there is a number of objectives and goals very similar. This one has to do with the PSSA and the PASA. And that was the second improvement plan. And we did talk to you as well prior. A lot of times as much effort and work we put into this, it can become quite difficult because in the end, a parent can determine if they're going to have their child take an assessment or not. This is not on progress or how kids do. This is strictly on kids who take the assessment of PSSA, Keystones, and PASA. Nothing to do with their progress. So we're continuing to work on it. We have different goals, we have different plans here. I'm hoping to get to as any of our kids with disabilities where the parents determine that they're going to pull their child based on whatever the reason is, whether it's religious or whatever, that I will attend with the principal to meet with the parent for those students and whether it helps at all or whether it doesn't help at all, but
Does
it's
it
just.
dock your score if they opt out?
Absolutely.
Although they also communicate too, which in this, when you look at progress, if a student with a disability goes down and completes and checks boxes 1 and 2, they're considered to have participated. So therefore, they're doing well here, but yet in the progress piece, that data is hard, it's very poor. So it's difficult to win. So this is, and this was sort of a review to look at that and just some links and some work that we've done with principals when we're meeting, presentations to the administrators and what does it mean? Because many times, the large percentage of time when our students, they have an annual IEP meeting, it's most likely going to be the building principal or assistant principal who's what we call the LEA. So when they go through the IEP and they get to this section talking about state assessments, local assessments, that's where I think if a parent is literally just freely stating, you know, they're likely going to make a decision to opt out, that's where even our special ed teachers, we've talked to them. Take the time, because a lot of times we could just be like, okay, checkbox, let's move on. But that's not where we want to be. Take a few minutes to talk to the parents and maybe inquire. Maybe they'll give an opportunity to just, you know, see how it goes this year if they're willing to that. In the end, we know they can make the determination that they choose, but it doesn't, why wouldn't we make an effort? And so when we talk during our administrative meetings, sometimes on the agenda we'll have some things like this. So that as a building LEA, you're the one that has the ability to make decisions to maybe, you know, elaborate even a little bit more with the special ed teacher when you're talking with parents. So just any efforts that we can do to improve in this area.
I have a question. What is the policy, like I know that when students want to, or when parents want to opt out of curriculum, there's policy and procedure. Do they have to meet, I know that you said they can check a box. What does that procedure look like if they're opting out of testing?
So for PSSA, there's one legal and acceptable statement from PDE, and it's for religious purposes.
Okay.
So oftentimes people come in and say, I'm opting out for religious purposes,
Right.
even though they're not. So if they have a note and they say that,
So it could be as simple as
they
a
have
note.
to come in and sign a form.
They just have to,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, an
There's a
obligation
process.
is to identify what that,
Right.
you know, religious objection or strong philosophical disagreement
Right.
are. And so they have to actually come in.
They do have to come in, okay.
And that's, yeah, that's where we were talking about for those kids with disabilities. So the principals, like we already have a document where they'll share, oh, here's my dates for meetings, and I will try to sit with them when they're,
Right.
just to try and help in any way that we can to answer parent questions or, you know.
I think a competing challenge is that several years ago, it's the graduation pathways opened up to take PSSA or Keystones off and give
So they don't-
alternatives.
there's no
So
incentive
correct.
at all.
I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know, we're saying you have to participate,
But they don't.
but you don't because you can do these
Yeah.
3 other things. So,
And still
I mean, it's very much a challenging message for parents to receive
Right.
because I don't think they see the value add, even though we try to advocate for their participation. So it's hard because when parents say, "How is this used?" you know, really, it's a state school assessment of schools and how students perform, and, you know, we use data to better programs and better instruction, but there's no consequence necessarily that happens, and so it is a challenging conversation. I don't know how often.
5 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know how often parents, after you talk, because Mrs. Bast and Dr. Giblin have those conversations with principals frequently. I don't know how many times parents are like, you know what, yes, I'm gonna do it. In my experience as a building principal, there were zero. But
Once they come in.
I agree in most cases that is, but I can recall a couple of, I'm going back a couple of years. So maybe there was one instance, and I remember being at a meeting and a parent was automatic, and I think it was for a student with PASA. And it was just automatically, the mindset was when they got in third grade that they're not going to take the assessment. And so we just tried to elaborate a little bit more, even taking the opportunities the first year. Maybe let them, you know, have the opportunity to take PASA, and maybe you're going to get some more data in regards. And I do believe that one time a parent did agree to do it, but again, I'm going back 2 years.
Carol.
So, look, I'm trying.
Like, what? Data? Oh my goodness, I didn't know. We're gonna do this.
So that's where we are with that, and I will say just so it's grades 4, 8, and 11 that they are pulling this data from. I will also say, when we get our and when we're looking at this different area, when they monitored us, it was one grade where we didn't make it, and it automatically was, you're going to be on the improvement plan. It didn't get much better for those 3 grade levels the following year. I'm just sharing with you, because we can pull and see some of the data, like who participated, who didn't, and the expectation is 95% participation for kids with disabilities.
That's a lot.
And I believe, if I'm correct, not one of the buildings did reach that. So it's just a continue work that we try and try to question the state on this, but yeah. Any questions on any of that?
No. In your defense, it's hard. I've observed that testing, and for some students, it's just torture. Like there's no learning going on. What they're learning is just 2 hours of
And the
frustration and things that that don't make sense for them to even go through. Okay.
Yeah,
In your
some of our
defense, when you're saying the buildings.
Yes, I mean, we used to be in a very different position when they used to offer the PSSA-M, the modified version, and I was a former learning support teacher. You know, it was tailored to support kids and afford them the accommodations that were in their IEPs. And so we see a lot of families whose children are academically behind say, why would I even do this?
Yeah, no.
And there is no grace. There's no exception. There's no.
Why did they get rid of the PSSA?
I mean, they adopted the Keystone
Right.
at the high school for trigger courses.
They took a lot of the things like more white space on the paper.
Yeah.
But they took some of the pieces of what the M looked like.
Like, if nothing else, they're like sort of learning test taking, you know, some of them. But to do this others, and for some of them, is just so far beyond.
Yeah.
I'll keep trying.
Oh, did you close it?
Yeah.
I did, was I not supposed to?
No, which is the last slide, next meeting.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
Okay. Any other questions for Dr. Giblin?
We just
And no public comment, and,
Next meeting is March 19th, we just weren't sure of the time.
next meeting is March 19th. We'll have it at 6:30 because that's, you know, assuming that ad hoc takes place at 5:30, so we'll have that at 6:30 unless something changes in the next week or so.
I do log you out.
Motion to adjourn,
Second.
and motion carries. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that. That's, I mean,
I'm
you would have
excited
to
to see
see
how
the
the
continuity. I think that's, that makes sense.
I never had people like track me down and all the way talking about the
Oh.
product.
it's so much nicer.
Be my surprise.
Elementary stuff, area of expertise, but
Well, I mean, I didn't teach
As
it.
the minutes go by, it's getting worse and worse.
I learned a lot from
Stays on there.
yeah.
My kids tomorrow.
Yeah, today's on my calendar. I do want to go tomorrow.
a long time ago. Feels like.
I've been doing this for 25 years.
Close to retirement, you're too young.
I talked to the guy on the
Yeah.
tenure, or not tenure, the Peter's guy, and I'm like, is it like, oh, on the camera says, like, is it 2032? He's like,
That-
no.
All you can do.
Like, okay.